the opportunity is there. No question for 2025, the opportunity to grow. And again, to your point, TB, you said uncertainty. Do business owners really want to hire full-timers? No, now they have an option.
Hey, Dean, 2024 is ending. And, this is a time of year when people start to reflect, right? And then there are these New Year's resolutions that come up. And as fractionals, maybe we want to stay away from New Year's resolutions. But let me ask you this. How should we be thinking about 2025? Or should we just be looking back at 2024 and terrified of 2025?
Well, let me do this. Let me find my crystal ball, see if it's got batteries in it, and then we'll look at 2025, see if we can predict some stuff. Because there's a lot of unknowns, right? A lot of stuff going on that we are trying to figure out, trying to plan for. And I think the reality is that every new year we get this sort of cycle of like, what's going on, what worked, what didn't. But of course, in 25, there's enough going on, certainly in the US, that it creates another layer of uncertainty. So let's kick around some ideas of what our fractional friends can consider as they move into the year. What do you think?
Well, I think the reality is no matter where you sit politically, there's political uncertainty.
Yep.
Okay. Because if you're on one side, bold promises have been made, but can they actually come true? If you're on the other side, bold promises were made by the other side and you're wondering, will they come true? And oh my, right? And that leaves us as humans in a really vulnerable place, which then we take that anxiety as business owners into our businesses, and we start to look at our businesses with, okay, so now we're talking about your clients, not just us as fractionals, but your clients are feeling this, right? But your clients also know that they want to grow in 25 and they're trying to figure out how.
Yeah.
And the old way, obviously, the traditional way is you go out and you hire a full-time employee and you bring somebody new in to do some new task for you. But if you don't know where things are going, are you really excited about taking on a full-time employee right now? What do you think, Dean?
Right, exactly, right. There's that risk. And I think that what we're seeing is we're starting to see more and more data about small and mid-sized businesses understanding the value of a fractional, what a fractional is and what it isn't. And because there's a greater level of understanding, they're starting to hire fractionals more regularly, which wasn't the case 2-3 years ago.
But that causes a problem, though.
It does. It does. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's what we've seen in 24, which is if you look at LinkedIn, I track this every month. I look at how many LinkedIn profiles I can find where somebody says I'm a fractional. And at the early part of last year, 2024, I found around 85, 95,000 profiles on LinkedIn. By the end of the year, it was 160,000 profiles.
That's
right?
double.
Massive increase, right? So so with opportunity increases what? Competition. But I love that. Me personally, I love it because when I look at the world and I look at the competition, I look at what other people are doing. First of all, I don't pay too much attention to what other people are doing, but you should at least understand, right? Most people that claim to be fractionals, unfortunately, are struggling. They're struggling, right? They've sort of put that flag in the ground and they've said, everywhere I look, I'm going to find fractional opportunities. And of course, you and I both know that's not the case. Right. So for those that really figure this thing out, really work out how to position themselves as a visible expert. We've got plenty of episodes on all this stuff, guys. They're going to rise to the top. They're going to find opportunities really quickly and separate themselves. So part of 2025 is going to be perspective and mindset. That if you're worried about all the political uncertainty, you're worried about the additional competition, what's going to happen? You're going to sort of fall into this analysis paralysis, right? And just stop doing stuff. Right?
That's wrong. That's dead wrong.
It absolutely, yeah. What do they say? Perfection is the enemy of done. Get stuff done. Start getting out there and being persistent. So I think the first thing I would advise is for our listeners to think in terms of mindset, right? Sometimes it's best to just turn the news off, right? Just stop listening to that stuff and focus on your stuff. Focus on your stuff. So I think my biggest prediction for 25 is the opportunity is there if you create it, right? And creating it is all about doing the right things persistently over time. Now, what are those things that we can talk about them? But I think the stuff between our ears is what slows most business owners down, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the opportunity is there, no question, for 2025. The opportunity to grow. And again, to your point, Atiba, you said uncertainty. Do business owners really want to hire full-timers? No, now they have an option, which they didn't really have in many years past. That they can hire somebody for a short period of time that's an expert in a particular area of the business, and they can roll the dice, but the gamble is so much lower. So I think the opportunity will continue to grow.
Well, and I think it's even, and when you talk about mindset, right, it goes both ways too. So number one, you can't have a, as you said, bury your head in the sand mindset right now because things are uncertain. The reality is, and you can track this forever, when do you make money? When things are the worst, right? When the economy is the worst, that's the best time to make money, right? If you have that growth mindset and you can see and you're still willing to take the chances and take the risk and step out there and take action.
Yep.
But then on the other side, y'all, you have to also look for clients who have the same mindset as you, right? Yeah. Because those are the ones where you're going to be able to have great success. Those are the ones that you're going to be able to say, look at what we were able to help them do, which then propels you even further. So I think mindset is on both sides.
It is. That's a really great point. And I think when people start talking about ICP, ideal client profile, and I'm sure everyone in our audience has been on a networking event where people say, who do you work with? And I work with small manufacturers in Chicago. That's not an ICP, guys. Come on. That's pretty pathetic. But nonetheless, that's where most people are. And so even if you dial in the demographic description of the businesses you work with, you're missing a huge component, which is the psychographics, the mentality of the ownership and leadership of that organization. And that's what you're talking about, Atiba, is finding people that align psychographically with you. If they don't believe there's opportunity for growth, don't take them on as a client. It's not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of the members in my community yesterday, and she was asking about, well, on a fractional engagement, let's say it's a 1 day a week fractional engagement. How can I charge $5,000 to this client and $8,000 for that client for a 1 day a week? How do I do that? You talk about value-based pricing. I don't understand. And so we laid out some of the components that could impact what you charge. And one of them, we typically think, what can we do to layer in value to charge more? And one of the things I said, well, look at the other side of the equation. If you found an ideal client that fits squarely into your ICP, they're great humans to work with, they're responsive, they're willing to be a reference for you in the future. Maybe they'll even introduce you to some other business owners in their niche. Would you be willing to give them a good deal to start to build your business and start to build your reputation? Absolutely. So that's who you're looking for. I'm not saying discount your pricing, but keep those things in mind. That's the kind of client we want to find, because that's where we'll have success.
Yes, absolutely. It's about partnership, and we've talked about that before too, right? And it's got to be a go both ways on that, and it starts there with the psychographics and that mindset, right? So as 24 is ending, and if you're watching this in 25, understand your mindset is key. That growth mindset of recognizing that I am, number one, bringing something unique to the market because of who I am, my background, what I've done in the world to this point, everything that I have done in my career, right? This is how you think about yourself. Realize, and as Dean said, we don't look at competition because there is no one else uniquely designed to do what you do other than you. And then the key is, once you understand that and you have that mindset that this is what the world needs, right? Then you have to figure out who in the world needs that.
Mhm.
That's the ICP. And now you're looking for their mindset to match yours. That's when you get partnership that works really, really well. And I can tell you in my business, I've seen that time and time again. Real story here. We just had a client leave us last week and send what I would call in our world a scathing email of unhappiness about our service.
Yep.
Now, here's the deal. When the client came on, he looked at our program and he X'd out 80% of our program that he wasn't willing to do.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I should have never taken him as a client because he gets to the end and he's complaining about all of these things that if he had done the 80%, he would have realized why it was important and why it was the way it was. But instead, he has no idea. And now he's leaving upset.
Yeah.
Right? He had the wrong mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we all do it. We all take on those clients, but it's to learn from it and realize that when we find those clients that align well with us and we can get lockstep and create that partnership, the beauty that we'll be able to create with them will be everlasting for them. And so now getting back to why is it worth 5,000 or 8,000? And as you start to look at pricing, because that's another big thing. So your mindset, understanding your customer, making sure your offering, your pricing is structured well in 25 is also super important.
Yep.
Now, even starting looking at that, it's, as you said, value-based pricing. What's the value of what I'm bringing to you?
Mhm.
What is the value? So, for example, and I'm going to make this very, very mundane, okay? If someone came and said, hey, I need help writing an email series, and I've got a list of past buyers, and I have 100,000 past buyers that I need to re-engage. And somebody else came and says, hey, I need help writing an email series, and I have 100 past buyers that I need to re-engage. Which one of those clients would have the greater value from that email?
Yep.
And so, sure, you may have a base price of what it costs, but then the value-based pricing says, hey, listen, the value of what I'm about to do for you is worth so much more. So why shouldn't they pay for that?
Yeah. Yeah. And if the statistics hold true, let's say 5% of that list will become new buyers again. 5% of 100,000, 5% of 100, right? The numbers are there. And here's the thing about value that I always kind of laugh about is the seller, right? The fractional or the consultant tries to impose their perception of value on the prospect. That's not our job, guys. That's not our job. Our job is to draw out the perception of value from the buyer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And when they say it, you walk them through that journey. When they say it, it becomes real. That's
Yes.
something we can lean on. It's very different than me saying, we're going to do this thing, we're going to all this money, and they're not going to take that on board. Our job isn't to apply our perception of value. It's draw it out from the buyer.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And one of the things that I do on calls a lot in those moments is I slow the call down and say, okay, I want you to do right now, we're just going to do a little exercise, everyone, depending on how many people on the call. I want you to close your eyes. So we've defined the problem. We've defined what we can do. I want you to close your eyes. And now it's a year from now today. So whatever that date is, a year from now. And we solved the problem. Tell me, what is business like for you now? What has changed in your company? How has your revenue changed? How has your perception of things changed? So in other words, what's the value to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I make them dream there. And I make them get concrete in their dream. So, oh, business has increased. No. How much has business increased? Oh, you were able to expand and bring in new staff. How much new staff? What positions are you hiring? You were able to attract new clients. What kind of new clients are you looking to attract? And how much are those clients worth to you? Oh, your profitability went up. Well, how much did your profitability go up? Oh, it went up by 10%. and your revenue went up by 100,000, so you made an extra $10,000 in profit, right? And we get them to quantify that, because you see, once they've quantified that for themselves, that's when you know exactly the value it is to them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's great. I would even add, how do all of those business metrics, how have they impacted your personal life?
Yes.
Right. Well, now we hired more staff. I don't have to work 60, 70 hours a week. Right. I don't have to miss my kids' soccer games. I've been able to go to the gym and work out. I've lost weight. I've lowered my blood pressure. It's impacted my relationships. Get to that point too, especially we're talking to small business owners, right? Small and mid-sized business owners, their own operators. The business and their life are entwined. So as their business improves, their personal life should improve too. So get to that level, because if nothing else, that's the emotional hook. They'll get them to invest as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we look at 2025, it starts with mindset. Your mindset going into this. Listen, one of the most important things is to be able to see the truth despite current circumstances. That's the mindset we were talking about. Be able to see the truth despite what the circumstances may look like. Okay. And move forward. Then looking at your ideal customer profile and understanding who you're targeting, who you're serving, and why they match you from a psychographic perspective, so y'all can have success. And then positioning your offer and your value to them in a way that really aligns with them and aligns with you, so that, again, both of you can have success. Dean, these are the keys to 2025. It really isn't hard.
It's not. It's simple, but it's difficult, right? The simple is that the formula is there. The formula is proven. The hard part is to be disciplined, not to be distracted. And I would leave you with this. Find your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Find your people that are on a similar journey, want to have a similar impact in the world, want to work with the similar and are working with similar clients. Hang out with those people. Maybe they're a year or 2 or 3 ahead of you in their journey. Hang out with those people, right? That's where you want to be. That they will pull you along and they will help you in the coming years. Don't do this in a vacuum, guys. There's no reason to.
Absolutely no reason. And if you're looking for a community, Dean has one that he has created where you can actually start to gather and meet other people just like yourself who are on this journey and that can support you and get expert advice at the same time. And so we're going to link Dean's community in the show notes and in the description. Check that out, and we'll see you there. As always, he's Dean, I'm Atiba, and we're the Fractional Pros. See you next time.
See you next time, guys.